Sitting in her idling car in the driveway, Kate's still gripping the wheel, taking a deep breath to stabilize herself. She's afraid, maybe of nothing, but has to know what she's dealing with before she goes inside. She kills the engine and pulls out her phone. Afraid of seeing how much remains in their account or how much their cards have ballooned, she knows she has to complete this ritual to prepare herself for how much of a cloud will be hanging over the house. She does this every day after she gets home from work. Pull in, log into their banking app, and see what the damage is so she can mentally prepare herself. The worse the situation, the more she'd have to put her shine on if he is open to it, or the more she'd have to stay out of his way if he isn't. She doesn't remember when this ritual started. She just knows it's become so part of her life that it's almost like a sort of buffer between the stresses of work and the stresses of home. But for some reason, today she finds herself reflecting on who she was before all of this, somewhere past the misty shores of her memory. She used to be capable, trusting, and naive isn't quite the right word for it, but the word can't help but come to her mind as she reflects back on herself. She just believed her partner when he said things, as should be the basic level of all relationships. She didn't have to sniff out problems or read between the lines of the things he said, trying to find the lies of omission between the words. She had her own life, her own job, her own friends that she laughed easily and freely with, sharing everything. She even liked her Sunday morning routine, getting ready for the week ahead. And none of that is gone exactly. No, it's more of a funhouse mirror of what it used to be. Something warped, thin, and devoid of vibrancy. Kate's not quite a shell. More like a dehydrated version of herself. Before I continue, I'm Phil Shea, addictions counselor. This isn't a story about him, it's a story about her. And if you're watching this, it might be about you too. At first, Kate didn't notice anything. There weren't any glaring signs because he would come up with convincing reasons for why their bill wasn't paid or why he had an overdue notice in the mail. He simply said there was a problem processing the payment. It bounced back. The office was closed that day. He would deal with it, next paycheck. It wasn't going to be a problem. On weekends, she'd chalk up his terrible mood to a buildup of work stress. That's why he snapped at her, yelled at the TV, and was tossing and turning all night. They used to go out together frequently, at least once or twice a week. But now plans almost never appeared on the horizon, and if they did, they would disappear last minute like a mirage. When some amount of suspicion started creeping into her mind, she didn't connect it to gambling. He'd always gambled a bit, sure. Sports on weekends, the occasional poker night, but that was normal, that was fun. That wasn't this. Whatever was wrong had to be something else. Depression maybe, bipolar, an affair? Though there weren't enough signs for that. Perhaps he was just drifting. Wanting to do whatever she could to repair the relationship, Kate threw herself into doing research. She'd equip herself with the right knowledge, the right understanding, and then things might just come back together like they used to be. One afternoon, in one of her many attempts, she found him in a jovial mood. It's now or never, she thought to herself, finally asking him, "What do you think about couples counseling?" "Do you think we're made out of money?" he exclaimed. "I mean, come on, Kate. You know I've been busting my hump trying to put bread on the table. We can't be frittering it away like this. Give your head a shake." Kate retreated, thoroughly chastised. "I must have overstepped. Maybe I was a bit pushy. His mom said his dad was always like this, and somehow that made it feel less like a him thing and more just like a men thing." And with those thoughts, the self-editing began. Day by day, Kate was clipping out parts of herself. It was such a subtle shift that she didn't even realize she was doing it. She began gaining an instinctual understanding of what was acceptable and what wasn't acceptable to acknowledge, how his moods were, and what preceded them, and when to be present and when to make herself scarce. This made the good days exceptionally good and the bad days almost unbearable. On those days, she'd hold on to the man she knew he was deep down inside, the real him, the one who would never treat her this way, if only he... fill in the blank. Creeping in over time, she began being the adult in the relationship. She was responsible for both of them, tracking the joint account, reminding him about bills, and making excuses to his mother about why they missed Sunday dinner again. Hell, she even caught herself habitually fibbing to her own best friend, only to realize that she had just given the old song and dance about why they couldn't come to her wedding. Could she even call them best friends anymore? And it wasn't lying per se. She wouldn't make things up whole cloth, but she wouldn't fully explain either. She told herself it was about loyalty, but loyalty was the word she'd reach for because the real word, the one lurking beneath, was protection. She was protecting him from his mother's disappointment, from her friends' questions, from the truth about what was actually happening around them. And somewhere in the mix, without noticing, she started protecting him from even her own judgments too. One day, on one of the few occasions where she was able to get them both out of the house, she met with a friend. When he went to the bathroom, her friend offhandedly said, "I wish I was as close as you two are. It's almost like you have a secret language. Whenever his phone buzzes, it's almost like his reaction relays the message right to you. It's cute." This was not what Kate wanted to hear. Her insides felt like they were clenched into a ball, and it was hard to breathe, realizing that she monitored him so closely. She could remember thinking about how his reaction to his phone was so Pavlovian, but she failed to realize that she had somehow become tied into this same trained response. Now, listen, if you're watching this and feeling like you can relate a little too well, if you're the one checking the banking app before you walk in the door, I just want to let you know that as an addictions counselor, I also offer services to those close to someone who is struggling. Most of the partners have never had a conversation that is actually about them as independent individuals, but this one will be. It was a Tuesday night when she had a real scare. She had approached the window to watch for his car turning onto their road when she saw someone. Chapped lips, gaunt cheeks, and frazzled hair that framed sunken eyes. She almost jumped, thinking it was somebody just outside the window, when she realized it was her. The pieces began to click together. This reminded her of situations she'd seen her friends in, but it felt so different from the inside. She was vaguely aware of the gambling before, but the puzzle pieces started to create a coherent picture. She wasn't angry, that came later. She wasn't even sad. No, at this moment she was just very, very tired. And underneath that bone-deep weariness, a terrible question was bubbling up. How long have I been doing this? Who have I become? That's where we'll leave Kate for now, with that question hanging. As you've probably picked up, Kate's story is not abnormal. The partner of someone with a behavioral addiction almost always develops a pattern that is an echo of their partner's addiction. Whether it's keeping secrets, slow self-erasure, or holding on to hope that their true, good, inner self will emerge, all of it is natural and normal. She's trying to keep life going, becoming the architect that holds the addiction up whenever it tries to throw a wrecking ball at things, often without realizing she was choosing to do it. And the worst part, it wasn't her weakness that got her pulled into this mess, it was her competence. Her stalwart strength and good-natured hope were the things that held her there, losing herself on the altar of their relationship. If you recognize yourself in Kate, even just in elements of it, investigate that. Don't try to fix anything just yet, because the first move isn't action. It's recognizing that something is happening that needs to be addressed. Just by you watching this far, it might be a good sign that this recognition is already taking place. If you recognize yourself in Kate, even just parts of it, the next part is understanding how. How smart, capable women can get pulled into this pattern, and why it has absolutely nothing to do with being weak or fooled. That explanation is what we're going to do next. As always, if you need support and want to find a way to navigate your current situation, reach out by booking an appointment through the link in the description. I'm Phil Shea, Addictions Counselor. Have a great day.